This feels pretty good, and I have to say I'm surprised at how well the job market held up in the face of what happened in Washington in September and October. So it's good news going into next year. Yeah, you know, the way I look at the data to try to understand the underlying trend is take a 6-month moving average of the change. And, you know, if you do that, we're still, even with today's number, we're still around 175, 180,000. And that's the kind of monthly job growth we've been getting for really almost 3 years. You know, some periods were a little higher, some periods were a little lower, but we're right still in the middle of the range. So, I don't think we're out of the woods yet. And, of course, Washington still has more work to do, and I'd be surprised if businesses really start to hire more aggressively until we get a little bit more clarity out of Washington early next year. For me, I think the key to tapering QE and beginning down the path to normalizing monetary policy is job growth on a monthly basis that's above 200K. We got that in November. According to BLS, we got that in October. But I think we need a few more months of that. And if we go into next year and are still over 200K, then I think that's a green light for tapering QE, probably in Q1, at some point in Q1 next year.
Yeah, look, I think it would be shocking if the Fed actually tapered in December. I think much to Steve's point, obviously it's entirely about the labor backdrop right now. But, what we've heard from Fed officials recently is that you haven't seen enough improvement in the labor backdrop. So, yeah, we have this payroll report on Friday. Even if we come in better than consensus at around 200,000, I would argue that that's not the sort of robust numbers. Excuse me, let me restate that. You're not going to have a robust string of numbers for the Fed to really respond to. We continue to think that March is when the Fed will taper. The problem with January is that it's a transition month. You go from Bernanke overseeing the meeting. 2 days later, you have Yellen taking over the FOMC. So we think January represents a problem, but March is really where we're looking at this point.
The real increase in new home sales, I think, looks much closer to about a 5% increase year over year, not a 25% increase month over month. The new home sales numbers are always somewhat volatile, but now, given that we've had this mortgage rate spike and the government shutdown, we could see a lot of people shifting around the timing of their new home sales in response to both those factors. It's a modest improvement in new home sales. Ultimately, new home sales depend on construction. You can't sell new homes if you're not building new homes. And remember, construction is still far below normal levels. Construction's running at about a 900,000 annual rate. Normal is about 1.5 million. So construction and new home sales still have a long way to go before they're back to normal.